After his rebirth, the first thing Zhou Qianzi did was to kneel before his parents, his words earnest and sincere. Father, mother, regarding the marriage alliance with the Song family, I choose to marry Song Zhuan. Startled by their son's sudden request, both Zhou's father and mother wore expressions of utter surprise. Qianzi, don't you love Mengqing? Zhuan is Mengqing's aunt. As if reminded of something, Zhou Qianzi's gaze flickered, his voice tinged with a trace of sorrow. It is precisely because I know the consequences of loving her that I no longer dare to— Father, mother, I have never asked anything of you. As a privileged young master of a wealthy family, I understand that marriage is a responsibility I must bear. I have only this one request. Please grant it. Seeing the redness on his forehead from kowtowing, Zhou's parents sighed softly and helped him up. Since you've made up your mind, then your mother and I will go to the Song family and inquire. The only issue is that Song Zhuan holds a high position and power. She might not necessarily agree to this marriage. You must be mentally prepared. While comforting their son, Zhou's father and mother prepared generous gifts for their visit. As the black car gradually drove away, Zhou Qianzi turned back to look at the familiar furnishings of the living room, a sense of unreality washing over him. Suddenly, the phone on the table rang. Night scene, come over. It was a message from Song Mengqing, inviting him to meet, along with the address of a bar. Recalling what had just happened, Zhou Qianzi also wanted to take this opportunity to clarify the change in the marriage arrangement, so he hurried over. However, the moment he pushed open the door to the private room, a bucket of cold water was thrown directly at him, drenching him completely. The icy chill seeped into his skin, causing him to shiver involuntarily. He heard mocking laughter coming from all directions. Oh, isn't this our young master Zhou? Why are you soaked like a drowned rat? Serves him right. Who told him to chase after Sister Mengqing all day long? This is the fate of a shameless lapdog. Song Mengqing walked up to Zhou Qianzi with a cold expression, her eyes filled with a dark haze. Are you so eager to marry me? The news of the marriage alliance just started spreading, and you rushed to have your parents discuss the marriage at my house, making it known to the whole city. Now everyone in the circle knows that you and I are to be married. Are you satisfied? Zhou Qianzi knew she had misunderstood. He wiped the water from his face, brushed aside the wet hair sticking to his forehead, and looked at her calmly. The marriage alliance between the Zhou and Song families is a foregone conclusion. It makes no difference which family discusses it. But you don't need to worry, because this matter has nothing to do with you. Song Mengqing was stunned for a moment, then sneered. Nothing to do with me? Are you going to say that the person you're marrying isn't me? Ridiculous. Besides me, who else in the Song family could marry you? Just as Zhou Qianzi was about to speak, the partially closed door was pushed open. Lin Majuan, who burst in and saw the scene, had tears welling up in his eyes. Sister Mengqing, I heard you're getting married. I came specifically to wish you happiness, to wish you and young Master Zhou a happy and long life together. With that, he rushed out with reddened eyes, leaving only the faint sound of his sobs behind. Majuan! Song Mengqing instantly became anxious, pushing aside the person blocking her way and chasing after him. Zhou Qianzi, who was pushed onto the coffee table, had a cut on his forehead, and blood flowed profusely, making him look extremely frightening. A sharp pain struck him. He looked at the two receding figures, and many past events surfaced in his mind. In his previous life, Zhou Qianzi and Song Mengqing had grown up together as childhood sweethearts, and their relationship was very deep. After reaching adulthood, when he heard his parents mention the marriage alliance between the two families, he thought of Song Mengqing's meticulous care for him over the years and unhesitatingly chose her. But after hearing this news, her attitude towards him gradually changed, from anger to indifference, and finally to near disgust. Zhou Qianzi didn't understand why, but he still chose to marry her, thinking that things would gradually improve after the wedding. But even after their child was born, he found tens of thousands of photos of Lin Majuan treasured by Song Mengqing in the study. At that moment, he realized that the person she actually loved was the son of her family's housekeeper, but she couldn't have him due to the class difference. Lin Majuan also married someone else 2 years after her marriage, but their relationship was always discordant. She drowned her sorrows in alcohol every day, grieving for him. And the day his wife died in a car accident was the happiest day of her life. Zhou Qinzi saw all of this and felt a deep sense of desolation. But he could only force himself not to pay attention, focusing wholeheartedly on raising their daughter to adulthood, until a kidnapping case involved both his daughter and Lin Majuan's son. The kidnapper asked Song Mengqing to choose one to save. She hesitated for only a few seconds before choosing the boy who was not related to her by blood. The next second, their daughter was pushed off a tall building and fell to her death. Witnessing this, Zhou Qinzi broke down on the spot and jumped off the building as well. Now, reborn, he was unwilling to torture himself any longer and only wanted to draw a clear line with Song Mengqing. In the private room, a group of people were still laughing and making sarcastic remarks. A forced melon isn't sweet. Sister Mengqing doesn't want to marry someone. So what if they get married? When Sister Mengqing is not home, some lapdogs, will be complaining at home. Amidst the mockery, Zhou Qinzi's phone rang. He picked it up and saw a message from his parents. Qinzi, Jiwan agreed. The wedding will be held in half a month. His parents were usually calm and composed. The 3 exclamation marks clearly showed how surprised and excited they were that Song Jiwan had agreed. Zhou Qinzi suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. He forced himself to stand up and looked at the people who were watching the drama, the corners of his eyes and eyebrows revealing an unprecedented firmness. Whether I'm happy after marriage is none of your concern, and it has nothing to do with Song Mengqing. Please tell her that I will be married in half a month, and the bride will not be her. After leaving the bar, Zhou Qinzi went to the hospital to treat his wounds. Back home, he cleaned out everything related to Song Mengqing, sealing it all in boxes. His parents, who happened to return home at that moment, were taken aback. Qinzi, have you truly let go of Mengqing? Do you no longer love her? Seeing his unhesitating nod, Zhou's parents were relieved and said with a smile, "That's good. Jiwan is busy abroad, and today the Song family had a video call with us, and the marriage has been settled. Compared to Mengqing, Jiwan is more composed and refined, indeed more suitable for you. It's just that with her reputation, we felt it was a bit presumptuous, so we didn't consider her. We thought she wouldn't agree, but surprisingly, she accepted very quickly." Zhou Qinzi's eyes instantly turned red. When he initially made up his mind, he knew Song Jiwan would definitely agree. In his past life, because of the generational gap, all the signs of prestigious families were afraid of her, Zhou Qinzi included. Therefore, he had very little contact with her, hardly ever meeting except for family banquets. He only knew that she was wholeheartedly devoted to her work, single-handedly creating a towering business empire, and had never married. It wasn't until the age of 35, when she committed suicide, that a stack of love letters was found in her bedroom during the arrangement of her belongings. Each letter was addressed to Xing, and no one in the Song family knew who this was for. Only Zhou Qinzi knew that the day he was born, the sky was full of stars. Xing, meaning bright admirer of the star, was a pet name given to him by the most intimate elders in his family. He had never known that this woman of high position, seemingly unattainable, had been secretly in love with him all her life. Now that heaven had given him a chance to start over, he was willing to give them both a chance. Lost in thought, Zhou's parents took out a gift box and presented it to their son, their tone full of gratification. "Qinzi, tomorrow is your birthday. Jiwan can't make it back, but she had her assistant bring a gift from her study. See if you like it." Upon opening it, Zhou Qinzi saw a dazzling ring. This was the most expensive diamond ring auctioned by Sotheby's in nearly 50 years, named Plucking the Star. He had been fortunate enough to see it once and had never forgotten it. He hadn't expected Song Jiwan to send such a priceless gift. A warmth rose in Zhou Qinzi's heart. In his previous life, ever since the news of their arranged marriage spread, Song Mengqing had never given him any gifts. He had long forgotten what it felt like to receive a gift from a loved one. The next day, the birthday banquet for the eldest son of the Zhou family began promptly at 7 in the evening at the most luxurious hotel. A host of guests offered their congratulations. With the matter of his arranged marriage settled, Zhou Qinzi felt a weight lifted from his heart, and a smile graced his face. until midway through, a commotion arose from the crowd, and all eyes turned towards the entrance. Zhou Qianze followed the gaze of the others, only to see Song Mengqing unexpectedly attending his birthday banquet with Lin Majuan. And this was not the most humiliating part. The most humiliating thing was that Song Mengqing's group of friends came marching towards him with a huge plaque. In the center of the plaque were 4 large characters, hypocritical and self-righteous, dedicated to Zhou Qianze. The guests crowded forward to watch the show, whispering and gossiping among themselves. Zhou Qianze's face turned pale. He clenched his fists tightly, staring fixedly at the group of troublemakers, his voice icy. What is the meaning of this? The group sneered at him, deliberately raising their voices. That's what we want to ask you. Didn't you say yesterday that Sister Mengqing wasn't the bride? Then why did Sister Mengqing find out when she got home that the family had already started preparing for the wedding? Who's better at playing hard to get than you? Young Master Zhou? I think these words are perfectly fitting. I knew he was just being stubborn yesterday. He's been chasing Sister Mengqing for so many years. Everyone knows he's been groveling to the point of losing his dignity. Now, suddenly saying he doesn't like her, doesn't want to marry her, it's just a delaying tactic. Among your generation in the Song family, there's only Sister Mengqing. Who else could he marry but her? A burst of laughter erupted in the hall. Song Mengqing also looked at him coldly. Zhou Qianze, stop acting so hypocritically and self-righteous, and don't think you're attracting my attention. After we get married, you'll only have the title of my legitimate husband, nothing else. I won't give you anything. Zhou Qianze had heard these words from her in his previous life as well, and she hadn't lied. In 7 years of marriage, apart from the title, he truly had nothing. Hearing these words, the surrounding people started buzzing with discussions. Zhou Qianze's complexion instantly paled. He took a deep breath and raised his voice. Song Mengqing, I don't need you to give me any title. Listen carefully. My betrothed is not you, nor anyone of your generation, but your. Before the name could be uttered, it was interrupted by an unexpected event. Lin Majuan suddenly covered his nose and mouth, his face breaking out in a dense rash. With reddened eyes, he leaned on Song Mengqing's shoulder. Sister Song, I'm so itchy. Why are there so many hyacinths here? I'm allergic to hyacinths. Hyacinths were Zhou Qianze's favorite flowers, so the hall was decorated with them everywhere one looked. Hearing the increasingly rapid breathing of the person in her arms, Song Mengqing's expression turned urgent. She kept calling Lin Majuan's name, and finally had someone take him to the hospital. In the end, only 2 sentences were left. One for him. Zhou Qianze, after we get married, you're not allowed to plant or place hyacinths anywhere. One for her friends. After I leave, wreck this banquet hall. Sure thing, Sister Song. Consider it done. Before the words faded, the group, like a band of bandits, picked up tables and chairs and started smashing everything in sight. The birthday cake was smeared all over the floor, shards of glasses and dishes flew everywhere, and the flowers were trampled into mud by the dodging guests. Stop! Why do you have to wreck my birthday banquet? Stop! You're going to marry Sister Mengqing anyway, and you're so obedient to your wife. Naturally, whatever Sister Mengqing says goes, haha. Zhou Qianze shouted until his throat was hoarse, but he couldn't stop the violence, only receiving endless ridicule in return. Finally, all the guests left, and his birthday ended in a mess. In the following days, Zhou Qianze shut himself in his room with reddened eyes, neither stepping out of the main gate nor the inner one. After learning of Song Mengqing's outrageous behavior, Zhou's parents were even more relieved that not letting their son marry her was the right decision. They even clamored about going to the Song family, but were stopped by Zhou Qianze, who finally emerged after several days of seclusion. With the wedding imminent, he didn't want any more trouble. After pacifying his parents, he left home with a design sketch. He hadn't been shutting himself away to fret over Song Mengqing. She was already someone irrelevant to him. He had been in his room, personally designing a wedding ring for Song Zhiwan. Knowing the extraordinary value of Starcatcher, he secretly wanted to repay her deep affection with this heartfelt gesture. He handed the sketch to the butler, instructing him to find a master craftsman to carve and create it. However, when the agreed-upon completion date arrived, the ring was nowhere to be seen. Zhou Qianze inquired, and learned that Song Mengqing had come to pick out jewelry a few days earlier, had taken a fancy to the ring at first sight, and after some questioning, had simply taken it away. She left only a sentence. "It's for me anyway. No need to have Zhou Qianze pick it up." The staff, aware of the impending marriage between the Zhou and Song families, did not stop her. Zhou Qianze's heart sank. He rushed to the Song residence to find Song Mengqing and retrieve the ring. As soon as he entered, he saw Lin Majuan sitting amidst a pile of packages. "Miss, you secretly cleared my shopping cart again without telling me. You're so good to me. How can I ever repay you?" "I'm happy to do it. You don't need to repay me. And I've told you several times, don't call me Miss anymore." Only then did Lin Majuan call her Mengqing. Seeing the affectionate glances between the two, Zhou Qianze didn't even blink and strode inside. Hearing footsteps, Song Mengqing turned around and frowned upon seeing him. "What are you doing here? The wedding ring you took, give it back to me." Seeing Zhou Qianze's outstretched hand, Song Mengqing raised an eyebrow. "It's gone." Zhou Qianze's gaze sharpened, and his tone became heavier. "What do you mean it's gone?" Song Mengqing was still thinking of an excuse when Lin Majuan, sitting on the floor, spoke up timidly. "Mr. Zhou, I saw online that wedding rings are the easiest to use for opening packages, so I used it to open a few hundred packages. The ring is scratched now. Do you still want it?" As he spoke, he opened his palm, revealing the badly marred ring. Song Mengqing actually used his wedding ring for Lin Majuan to open packages. A surge of anger flared up in Zhou Qianze's heart, rapidly spreading throughout his body. He could no longer control his emotions, and his eyes reddened as he looked at the two nonchalant people in front of him. "Song Mengqing, what right did you have to take my things without permission? Lin Majuan, what gives you the right to trash it like this? Don't you two know how to write the word respect?" Seeing him so distraught over a ring, Song Mengqing's good mood was ruined, and her tone became impatient. "This wedding ring was originally for me. What are you shouting about?" "Oh, right. I've decided to register our marriage, but not hold a wedding ceremony. So your designing a wedding ring is useless. Don't waste your efforts." Zhou Qianze clenched his fists, infuriated by her dismissive attitude, and declared once again, "Song Mengqing, this wedding ring is not for you. If not for me, then who?" "Zhou Qianze, that's enough. You're overacting." Song Mengqing retorted, casually tossing the ring away and pulling Lin Majuan out the door. "Don't waste time arguing with him. Majuan, didn't you say you wanted to learn to drive the other day? Come, I'll teach you." Watching the two leave, countless surges of anger and resentment welled up in Zhou Qianze's heart. He wanted to chase after them, but he was powerless to do so. He could only squat down and search for the ring. After half an hour, he finally found it in the flower bed. Carefully placing it in his pocket, he turned and left without hesitation. It was too late to make a new one, so he could only find someone to repair it and see if it could be restored to its original state. Just as he walked out of the villa, he heard a strange noise. Looking up, he saw a car speeding straight towards him. Zhou Qianze's eyes widened suddenly. With a loud bang, he was thrown 10 meters away and landed in a pool of blood. Lin Majuan, pretending to be scared, got out of the car, crying. Oh no, I just started learning to drive and accidentally hit the gas instead of the brakes. I've caused a big accident. Mr. Zhou is bleeding so much. Mengqing, will something happen to him?" Seeing the large bloodstain on the stone steps, Song Mengqing frowned and held Lin Majuan in her arms, comforting him softly. "It's okay, he always likes to play pitiful, and he's just acting now. Don't worry about it. He'll wake up when he can't keep up the act anymore. Majuan, don't be afraid, and don't cry." Hearing these words in a daze, Zhou Qianze felt a chill run through his body, and tears could no longer be held back. "Song Mengqing, I thought that even if you didn't like me, we've been childhood sweethearts for so many years, you would at least have a tiny bit of feeling for me. But you're willing to completely disregard my life just to comfort Lin Majuan. Why did I ever like you in my past life?" He struggled to call for help, but just as he grasped his phone, his strength completely drained away. Boundless darkness surged in, completely engulfing him. When he opened his eyes again, it was already the next day. Shortly after he woke up, a doctor came in with his medical records and said sternly, Why didn't you come to the hospital immediately after the car accident? Did you have to bleed so much before being sent here? Are you kidding me? Recalling the scene before he lost consciousness, Zhou Qianze moved his lips but only managed a bitter smile, unsure how to answer. Was he supposed to say that his childhood sweetheart was busy comforting another man? So, she left him for dead? The doctor didn't press further, but continued. Where's your wife? Get her to complete the hospital admission procedures for you. The anesthetic hadn't worn off yet, and Zhou Qianze blurted out subconsciously. Abroad. Before he could finish, the door to the ward was pushed open. Song Mengqing, who happened to enter, stared at him intently. Who's abroad? Isn't she right here? You signed the surgical consent form. So, she must be his wife, right? Weren't you told to keep watch 24/7 while the patient is in a coma? Why did she suddenly disappear? Luckily, nothing happened. Now, go. We'll take care of the paperwork. The doctor said, tearing off a hospitalization slip and handing it to her before leaving the room. She's not my wife. Zhou Qianze was still explaining, even though everyone had already left. For some reason, Song Mengqing felt a pang of discomfort. All right, she brought you to the hospital. Is this some kind of game to play hard to get? Enough is enough. She placed the bag in her hand on the table. When she saw the bandages wrapped around his head, her tone softened slightly. It's still warm. Eat it while it's hot. Seeing the familiar logo, Zhou Qianze was stunned. In the past, whenever he was sick, he wouldn't be able to eat anything. Song Mengqing would travel dozens of miles and wait in line for a long time to buy red bean cakes from this particular shop to cheer him up. But whether it was in his previous life or this one, ever since she found out about the arranged marriage, she had never been this gentle. Looking at the steam rising from the bag, Zhou Qianze didn't move. He gently closed his eyes. The next second, he heard Song Mengqing's hesitant voice. Yesterday, Mo Jun didn't mean it. Don't make trouble for him. So it was still for Lin Majuan. Zhou Qianze opened his eyes again, and even laughed through tears. Song Mengqing, he deliberately caused harm. I will definitely call the police and make sure he receives the punishment he deserves. The expression on Song Mengqing's face froze instantly, and she became somewhat exasperated. I bought you the food and apologized on his behalf. Zhou Qianze, don't push your luck. Seeing that she couldn't pretend any longer, Zhou Qianze smiled again, looking at her with reddened eyes, like a silent confrontation. As if knowing his stubborn temper, after an unknown amount of time, Song Mengqing rubbed her temples and sighed deeply. Since that's the case, let's both take a step back. You're making such a big fuss. Don't you just want me to marry you? Fine, I'll give you a wedding. The one both families are preparing, the one you've been longing for. I'll attend. Are you satisfied now? Seeing the suppressed expression on her face, Zhou Qianze lowered his eyes, unable to help but recall the past. In his previous life, Song Mengqing did not attend that wedding. She loathed him, and she loathed the wedding. Now that she had relented, it was still because of Lin Majuan. Back then, although she didn't like him, she still married him, most likely because she was threatened by her family. After all, Lin Majuan was her only weakness, and, as just the son of a housekeeper, he was easy to control. It was easy to make her obey. But in this life, Zhou Qianze would absolutely not repeat the same mistakes. So he stated it directly. No need. The bride was never meant to be you. Whether you attend or not makes no difference. Song Mengqing was completely infuriated by him. Just as she was about to lose her temper, her phone rang. Seeing the name Mo Jun, she couldn't care about anything else and turned to leave. Watching the door slowly close, Zhou Qianze picked up his phone and dialed 110 to call the police. After he explained the whole situation, he received unexpected news. Mr. Zhou, we're very sorry, but this car accident was ruled as accidental. Your fiancé signed a letter of understanding at the scene, so we cannot open a case. Hearing this result, Zhou Qianze felt a stifled feeling in his chest. He couldn't get it out, and he couldn't swallow it down. He slammed his phone against the wall, pain spreading from his limbs to the depths of his heart. Finally, he couldn't hold it in any longer and cried alone in the empty hospital room. In the following days, Song Mengqing came to the hospital almost every day, bringing fruits and nourishing soups. She even invited several doctors for a joint consultation. Zhou Qian's emotions had stabilized, and he treated her as if she were invisible. Seeing his cold and detached demeanor, she also became a little flustered, not knowing what kind of tantrum he was throwing now. But considering he was a patient, she could only force herself to endure it. It wasn't until the day he was discharged from the hospital that Zhou Qianze refused to ride in her car. She could no longer restrain her frustration and questioned him. "I've already made concessions. How long are you going to keep this up? Are you going to keep acting out? Are you not afraid that I'll give up and refuse to marry you?" Zhou Qianze knew that no matter how much he explained, she wouldn't believe him. So he simply lowered his head and pretended not to hear. In Song Mengqing's eyes, this was him softening. Her mood slowly improved, and her tone became much gentler. "Don't make a fuss anymore. My aunt is coming back today. I'll take you to a family dinner. She's the head of the Song family, and tonight she'll announce our engagement in front of the whole family. Since I promised you, I will definitely attend, and I'll give you a grand wedding. Surely you'll be satisfied then." Zhou Qianze finally looked up at her, a hint of excited joy breaking through the indifference he'd worn for days. "Your aunt is back in the country." Seeing him return to his normal self, Song Mengqing curled her lips, a knowing look on her face. "Yes, are you that eager to marry me? Don't worry, I'll attend the wedding. But stop at the games. This push and pull routine is fine once or twice, but it gets tiresome." As she spoke, Song Mengqing opened the car door. Zhou Qianze knew she wouldn't listen to any explanation, so he, unusually, didn't bother. After settling into the passenger seat, he said directly, "I want to go home, tidy myself up, and change my clothes." Seeing how much he valued this banquet, thinking he must love her so much that he wanted to present his best self to her aunt, Song Mengqing raised an eyebrow and, for once, agreed to his request. Once everything was ready, they returned to the Song family's old residence. Many people had come to the banquet. They showed no surprise at seeing Zhou Qianze and greeted him. After returning their greetings, he sat in a corner, waiting for Song Jiwan to appear. He was absent-minded all evening, his heart pounding, unsure of what their reunion would be like. Song Mengqing, sitting beside him, quickly noticed something was amiss and shot him a displeased look. "I'm right here. What are you spacing out for? One last warning. I've agreed to marry you, so don't you dare put on that face. Or I might just change my mind." Zhou Qianze wanted to retort, but he held his tongue. Soon enough, she would know that she wasn't the bride, so there was no need to waste his breath. A few minutes later, the doors to the hall finally opened. Everyone turned their heads, looking expectantly. But the person who appeared was not Song Jiwan, but Elder Mr. Song. He tottered onto the stage and announced to the gathering. Jiwan was in a minor car accident before her departure. She missed her flight and is currently still abroad. She will not be attending today's banquet. Upon hearing this news, Zhou Qianze stood up abruptly, his voice full of anxiety. "Elder Mr. Song, how is she? Is it serious?" "Elder Mr. Song waved his hand, reassuring him. "She's fine, and it won't delay the important matters." "Qianze, don't worry." Song Mengqing frowned and pulled him back down, whispering her reprimand. "Even though the marriage alliance is certain, you haven't entered the Song family yet. Don't show such concern for my aunt to demonstrate your status. It's not appropriate." Zhou Qianze, at his wit's end, was about to speak plainly when Elder Mr. Song coughed, instantly silencing the room. The main purpose of gathering everyone today is to announce the marriage alliance between the Zhou and Song families. The wedding date has been set for 7 days from now at Nanping Villa. The betrothed parties are, from the Zhou family, young Master Zhou Qianze. In the elder's booming announcement, Song Mengqing received a message from Lin Majuan. Whatever he sent caused her expression to change drastically. She swiftly got up and hurried out of the room, not staying to hear the rest. And from the Song family, our family head, Song Jiwan. This unexpected choice caused an uproar in the hall, with whispers spreading like wildfire. "Did I hear that right? Jiwan? Not Mengqing." "Yes, how can it be Jiwan? Isn't the family head indifferent to men? Why would she marry a young fellow like him?" The murmurings of the crowd nearly overturned the entire hall. But given Song Jiwan's status, everyone, though shocked, dared not say too much, and they Finfun sent their congratulations to Zhou Qianze, who had risen to acknowledge them. After the banquet, his mind remained troubled by the car accident, and he made a special visit to Elder Mr. Song. The elder patted him on the shoulder, his face full of joy. Jiwan sent photos. I saw them. It's just a minor injury. She'll recover quickly. Chinza, just focus on the preparations. With this reassurance, Zhou Chinza finally felt at ease. For the next 2 or 3 days, he stayed at home, preparing invitations, wedding attire, dowry items, and other things oblivious to the outside world. During this time, he received many messages from Song Mingqing's friends, but he didn't open a single one. It wasn't until one day, before resting, that he accidentally clicked on one and discovered they were all talking about the same thing. Sister Mengqing was injured and is hospitalized at City Center Hospital, room 609. Won't you come and see her? Remember to bring some of the chicken soup Sister Mengqing loves. What's the meaning of not replying to messages? Are you still playing that old trick of push and pull? Is it never ending? Zhou Chinza, what are you doing? You, a lovesick puppy, acting all high and mighty? Get over here. Seeing these messages now, Zhou Chinza found them amusing. He took a few seconds to type a line and send it. Song Mengqing had a car accident. She has nurses, she has you, and she has Lin Majuan. What does it have to do with me? After the message was successfully sent, Zhou Chinza opened his WeChat moments. Scrolling down, it was filled with Song Mengqing's selfies from the hospital. He remembered that she almost never updated her moments, so he was a little surprised to see them. But he didn't dwell on it. He glanced at them and exited, reaching out to the Song family members he had added a few days earlier, inquiring about many things concerning Song Zhuan. After learning that Song Zhuan enjoyed eating fish, Zhou Chinza went to his own fish pond the next day, planning to catch a few fish to practice his cooking skills, so he could make them for her in the future. Just as he'd picked out the ones he liked, he turned around to see Lin Majuan, who had somehow gotten in, walking towards him. He wrung his fingers, looking utterly innocent. Mr. Zhou, are you angry because you know that Mengqing fought with someone and injured her hand to protect me? It's all my fault. If you want to blame someone, blame me. I know you're her fiancé, and I'm just the housekeeper's son, not worth her going to such lengths. Hearing his passive-aggressive tone, Zhou Chinza frowned and turned to leave. Lin Majuan grabbed his hand, and in his puzzled gaze, flashed a provocative smile. Zhou Chinza hadn't yet understood why his expression had suddenly changed when he saw him raise his hand and slap himself several times, crying his heart out. Mr. Zhou, hit me, scold me, I'll accept it all. I just beg you not to be angry with Miss. As long as you go and see her, no matter what you do to me, I won't resist. Seeing his uncharacteristic behavior, Zhou Chinza's eyelids twitched, realizing something was amiss. He was just about to pull his hand away when he saw Song Mengqing, her face full of anger, bursting in with a group of people surrounding them. Zhou Chinza, why did you hit Majuan? I've already agreed to hold the wedding. Don't push your luck. Zhou Chinza looked at her coldly. I didn't hit him. There's surveillance over there. See for yourself. He then intended to leave, but the furious Song Mengqing glared at him, not listening to a word, her voice like ice. I used to think you were just a spoiled young master, but now it seems you're simply hopeless. With that, she had her friends restrain Zhou Chinza and then took Lin Majuan's hand. Majuan, I won't allow you to suffer any grievances. Hit him back. Lin Majuan initially sobbed and said he didn't dare, but after everyone around him encouraged and supported him, he stopped pretending, and with all his strength, he slapped him fiercely. With a loud crack, Zhou Chinza's face swelled up, and his still healing forehead began to bleed. A burning pain shot through his nerves, making his ears ring. Taking advantage of the fact that no one noticed, Lin Majuan pushed the still-dazed Zhou Chinza into the pond, pretending to be kind and saying he wanted to save him. Song Mengqing cast a cold glance and left with her entourage. Don't bother. The water is so shallow, he won't drown. Zhou Chinza struggled in the water for a long time, exhausting all his strength before he was finally discovered and rescued. After returning, he developed a high fever that night, which still hadn't subsided the next day. He had many dreams related to the past, tears hanging at the corners of his eyes, muttering nonsense. I feel so awful, Sister Mengqing. Didn't you go to buy me red bean cakes? Why haven't you come back? It was my fault. I'm sorry, Sister Mengqing. I promise you I won't hide the love letters other boys give you anymore. Song Mengqing, who happened to push the door open, was initially startled when she heard this. She recalled the time when Zhou Qianze followed her around, and she was happy to spoil him, and couldn't help but soften a little. It's come to this for no reason. If you hadn't insisted on forcing the marriage, I would have treated you like a brother for the rest of my life. The day Zhou Qianze heard this and woke up. As soon as he opened his eyes, Song Mengqing resumed the disdainful look she had worn a few days ago and said in a deep voice, "The old master heard you were sick and insisted I come to see you. Don't get any ideas. I was forced to, otherwise I wouldn't have come at all." The next second, Lin Majuan entered timidly, nervously apologizing. "Mr. Zhou, I was wrong about what happened yesterday. Please forgive me." Zhou Qianze had been slapped for no reason and then pushed into the lake, and only now was he finally starting to recover a little, but he no longer had the strength to argue. He staggered to his feet, ready to chase them away, but saw Lin Majuan staring intently at his neck. He couldn't help but touch his neck, where a necklace hung, given to him by Song Mengqing on his coming-of-age ceremony. Song Mengqing naturally noticed it too. She knew how important this necklace was to Zhou Qianze, and her gaze darkened slightly. "Majuan, I'll have another one custom-made for you when I get back." She stopped mid-sentence. Zhou Qianze directly ripped off the necklace and threw it over. Then, forcing himself to get up, he took the box he had packed some time ago and brought it to Song Mengqing. Seeing his cold actions, Song Mengqing's heart suddenly tightened. "What do you mean by this?" Zhou Qianze directly stuffed the box into her arms and said softly, "We're getting married. My future wife will misunderstand if she sees these things you gave me before. Song Mengqing, I'm giving these all back to you. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other." Song Mengqing knew he was acting up again. She overturned everything in the box, her face darkening as she looked at him. "You were the one who hit Majuan first, and now you're throwing a tantrum? Isn't your future wife me? And nothing to do with each other. Let's see if you can keep up the act on our wedding day." After venting the frustrations that had been suppressed in her heart, she dragged Lin Majuan away. Looking at the mess on the ground, Zhou Qianze smiled and called out softly, "Throw all this junk into the trash can." The day before the wedding, Zhou Qianze received a text message. It read simply, "I'm back. See you tomorrow." No name, no note, but he knew. It was her, Song Jiwan. His wavering heart suddenly settled, and he slept soundly. The next day at 10 o'clock, the Song family's bridal procession arrived at the Zhou residence, followed by cameras. This marriage of wealthy families would be broadcast live to the public. Song Mengqing opened the car door and went upstairs. When she saw Zhou Qianze in a white suit, a flicker of astonishment crossed her eyes. For some reason, she felt like she had seen this scene before, and she was lost in a daze for a moment. Only when someone beside her reminded her did she extend her hand to him. But Zhou Qianze didn't take it. He looked at her calmly, his tone flat. "Song Mengqing, you've come to the wrong place. You should be sitting in the guest seats." This statement angered Song Mengqing, and her face instantly darkened. "Here we go again? Don't you know today's wedding is being broadcast live throughout the city? Do you have to keep making a scene and embarrass both families?" Zhou Qianze didn't argue with her further and went downstairs alone. Song Mengqing's outstretched hand clenched into a fist. She took a deep breath, forcibly suppressing her emotions, and followed him. Just as she was about to get into the back seat of the wedding car, her phone rang. A minute later, she closed the car door, looking at Zhou Qianze inside. "I have something very important to do, and I can't make it to the wedding. Go and tell the elders on both sides that the wedding is canceled." She had thought that when she said this, Zhou Qianze would be sad and embarrassed, and tears would fall, but he just looked at her calmly. "I told you, whether you come to this wedding or not, it doesn't matter. Because the bride is not you." Seeing his non-committal attitude, a trace of panic flashed through Song Mengqing's heart, but she still said sternly, "I said the wedding is canceled. If I, the bride, don't show up, do you really want to become the laughingstock of the whole city?" This time, Zhou Qianze didn't even bother to speak and directly told the driver to drive. Soon, the grand procession of cars left the scene. Song Mengqing didn't have time to soothe his temper either. She hailed a car by the roadside. When she arrived at the hot spring resort in the suburbs and saw Lin Majuan surrounded by a group of friends, her brow furrowed. Didn't you say Majuan was in danger? A group of friends pulled her inside, giggling. We tricked you. If we hadn't said that, how could you have run away from the wedding? We just wanted to see what kind of joke Zhou Qianze would make today. Hearing this, Song Mengqing's expression suddenly changed. She quickly pushed away the hands on her shoulders and turned to leave. Nonsense! Lin Majuan grabbed her hand, blinked his reddened eyes, and pleaded, Mengqing, my head really hurts. Will you stay and keep me company? Anyway, it's far from the wedding venue, and you won't make it in time even if you go now. That was indeed the case, but Zhou Qianze, while she was hesitating, her friends had already turned on a live broadcast and projected it onto the screen. Everything on the screen was proceeding as planned. Seeing Zhou Qianze stubbornly refusing to cancel the wedding, everyone's faces showed mocking smiles. He still hasn't called it off? It'll be so embarrassing when the ceremony starts and there's no bride. Zhou Qianze is too eager to get married. Huh? Joking with the reputation of two families, it'll be funny when he can't handle the situation. Song Mengqing didn't know what he was thinking, and her face was so gloomy that it could drip water. She was pondering whether to call the Song family to inform them when she heard an exclamation from beside her. The wedding has started. Song Mengqing instinctively looked up and saw Father Zhou leading Zhou Qianze to the center of the stage. He stood alone under the spotlight for a long time, and the bride did not appear. The live broadcast room was flooded with question marks and comments like, did the bride run away? The people in the room were laughing so hard they couldn't stand up straight. Song Mengqing, who had anticipated this outcome, had a cold expression and said with a hint of anger, foolish. She couldn't bear to watch anymore and wanted to turn off the live broadcast. Just as her hand reached the exit button, she heard the MC's voice. The bride enters. The next second, the closed doors opened. Under the gaze of thousands, Song Zhuan appeared, wearing a wedding dress inlaid with sky blue diamonds. She faced the audience and nodded slightly. Her cool, enigmatic eyes swept across the room, exuding an overwhelming sense of pressure. The entire hall fell silent, not a whisper to be heard. The guests were stunned. No one had expected that in the marriage alliance between the Zhou and Song families, the bride would be Song Zhuan. The people waiting in front of screens for a spectacle were also frozen in place like stone pillars. Song Mengqing clenched her teeth, her forehead bulging with veins, her voice filled with fury. Little aunt? Impossible. There must be some mistake. At this, everyone in the room snapped back to reality, stammering in agreement. Yes. The master of ceremonies must have made a mistake. How could President Song marry Zhou Qianze? They're a generation apart. Zhou Qianze wouldn't even have sister Mengqing. How could he be worthy of President Song? It's a blunder, just a blunder. While the group was still in denial, Song Zhuan had already reached the center of the stage. The wedding had entered the next phase, the vows. Miss Song Zhuan, do you take Mr. Zhou Qianze to be your husband, to love him and be faithful to him, for richer or poorer, in youth and old age, to stay by his side and grow old together? After hearing Song Zhuan's solemn vow of I do, the entire room fell into a dead silence. Everyone's mouths were agape, their eyes filled with disbelief at what was unfolding before them. Song Mengqing's mind went blank, the blood in her veins seeming to reverse its course. She grabbed a set of car keys, overturned the table of drinks in front of her, and rushed out like a madwoman, ignoring the shouts from behind. Only one thought remained in Song Mengqing's mind. Zhou Qianze was supposed to be her fiancé. He was only supposed to marry her. He absolutely could not marry her little aunt. She floored the accelerator, running more than a dozen red lights. By the time Song Mengqing arrived at the scene, the wedding banquet was drawing to a close. Most of the guests had already left, leaving only the relatives of the Zhou and Song families. She spotted Zhou Qianze, surrounded by people, laughing and talking in the crowd at a glance. She rushed forward and grabbed his hand, her voice filled with unprecedented panic and anxiety. Come with me. Before Zhou Qianze could speak, the families around them spoke up. Mengqing, what are you doing? It's your little aunt and Qianze's wedding. Why did you arrive only after it ended? Chinza and Juan still have to return to the old residence to offer tea. Why are you causing trouble? Song Mengqing, let go. It's one thing to be unruly usually, but today is your little aunt's wedding. If you keep this up, I'll deal with you. Her uncles and parents were all scolding her, but Song Mengqing remained stubborn, tightening her grip. The skin on Zhou Qian's wrist turned red from her grasp. He furrowed his brow slightly, about to speak, when he heard a gentle and magnetic voice from behind. Let go. Just 2 words, but Song Mengqing released her grip as if electrocuted. She didn't even dare to turn her head, hesitantly calling out, "Little aunt." Song Jiwan didn't respond to her. The crowd automatically parted, and she walked directly to Zhou Qianza, lifted his hand, and gently rubbed it. Only then did she glance at Song Mengqing. "This is your uncle." The air seemed to freeze. Song Mengqing resisted this title fiercely, but under Song Jiwan's powerful aura, the hairs on her body stood on end, as if ants were crawling on her. The fear buried deep in her blood compelled her to whisper the title. On CLE. In front of both families, Zhou Qianza responded generously. "We're family now." Each word was like a heavy stone blocking Song Mengqing's heart, making it hard for her to breathe. She clenched her fists tightly, staring fixedly at the person in front of her, emotions surging in her eyes. Zhou Qianza could sense her reluctance and anger, but he didn't care. He took Song Jiwan's hand and asked her with a smile about their next plans. Song Jiwan glanced at the time, and when she looked up again, her eyes, usually devoid of emotion, showed a rare hint of tenderness. Because the connecting flight was delayed, the morning tea ceremony was skipped. According to tradition, we should go to the old residence to make up for it, but you've had a long day. Let's postpone these formalities until tomorrow. Go back and rest first, okay? Hearing this, the elders of the Song family laughed and teased. "Oh, being married is different. You're already doting on your husband." Jiwan always seemed so aloof and distant, but it turns out she can speak so gently. With his youngest daughter now married and the entire family gathered together, old Master Song, beaming, waved his hand and said in a loud voice, "As long as you two live in harmony and respect each other, it doesn't matter whether we drink this tea or not." Chinza got up early to get ready. "You must be exhausted. Don't disturb the newlyweds. Everyone, let's disperse. Let's disperse." Amidst the teasing, Song Jiwan pulled Zhou Qianza away from the venue. Watching their retreating figures, Song Mengqing's clenched fists cracked. The suppressed anger and pain within her body after everyone had left finally poured out. What on earth is going on? The Zhou and Song families were supposed to have a marriage alliance. Wasn't I supposed to marry Zhou Qianza? Immersed in their joy, Song's parents were startled by her furious shout and looked at their daughter with displeasure. "What madness is possessing you now? Half a month ago, when a Zhou family came to our door, your Uncle Zhou, Aunt Zhou, and Qianza specifically asked for your little aunt's hand in marriage. They never mentioned your name. So how could it be your turn? If the bride wasn't me, why was I asked to meet the wedding procession?" Lin Majuan, who had arrived late, and a crowd of people were stunned when they entered and heard this conversation. Seeing the sudden intrusion of a large group of people, including Lin Majuan, Song's parents had already guessed the reason for Song Mengqing's absence today, and their faces darkened. "This morning, your aunt and uncle's flight was delayed during their transfer in Macau. We asked you to help with the wedding procession, and what did you do? You ran off halfway, hanging around with a bunch of dubious friends. How improper. Today, at the wedding, all the relatives of the Zhou and Song families were present, except for you. If it weren't for your Uncle Zhou's help in persuading him, the old master would surely have punished you. From now on, Qianza is your uncle-in-law. You be careful and don't do anything out of line. Otherwise, if your aunt gets angry, no one can protect you." Amidst these scoldings, Song Mengqing's face gradually turned pale. She had never thought that one day, Zhou Qianza would become her uncle-in-law. Her shoulders trembled uncontrollably, and she closed her eyes in despair. The past events she had once scoffed at now flashed before her eyes one by one. Zhou Qianza's resolute clarification in the bar, drenched like a drowned rat, the engagement ring he designed that was too small for her and took great effort to put on, the nervous emotions he couldn't help but feel whenever her little aunt's name was mentioned at family dinners. Only now did Song Mengqing finally understand. It turned out that everything was true, and Zhou Qianze had never lied to her. It was just that she was immersed in the past when he pursued her so fervently, so she ignored his changes. From the day of their engagement, Zhou Qianze was no longer the same Zhou Qianze. But why did the person who was so insistent on marrying her the day before seem to change overnight? Perhaps it wasn't the person who changed, but the attitude. Had the things she did in the past hurt him so much that he decided to give up? Or was marrying her little aunt just another tactic of his, playing hard to get? Countless thoughts swirled in Song Mengqing's mind, and she felt like her head was about to explode, clutching at her hair desperately. Seeing her like this, Lin Majuan held her in his arms, his face full of heartache, constantly comforting her. Song's parents, who were about to leave, saw this, and their expressions turned extremely ugly. The son of a housekeeper, daring to dream of climbing the Song family tree? Though Zhou Qianze was aware of Song Jiwan's feelings, their lack of interaction across 2 lifetimes left him feeling awkward in their first moments alone. Sensing his unease, Song Jiwan spoke softly. "Everyone calls you Qianze?" Caught off guard by her sudden question, Zhou Qianze nodded gently. "My grandparents also call me Xing. You can call me that too." Halfway through the sentence, his face flushed crimson. He inexplicably remembered the stack of love letters he had only glimpsed once, and he lowered his eyes, feeling a pang of guilt. A subtle glimmer passed through Song Jiwan's eyes, a gentle smile playing on her lips. "Xing, like the stars, the countless stars in the sky, am I right?" For some reason, Zhou Qianze detected a hint of delight in her voice. Unable to control his curiosity, he stole a glance to confirm, only to be caught in her deep, mesmerizing gaze. For a moment, he was captivated, staring at her blankly. The next second, he heard her say something that shattered his perception of her. "Xing is nice, and Qianze is good too, but I think husband is the best. After all, it's unique." At those last 4 words, Zhou Qianze's heart began to pound like a drum. Not knowing how to respond, he simply mumbled an agreement, flustered, and quickly averted his gaze, lowering his head. Even with the air conditioning on in the car, he felt sweat beading on his skin, their clasped hands damp and sticky. Song Jiwan chuckled softly, thoughtfully lowering the temperature a few degrees and offering him a handkerchief. As Zhou Qianze wiped his sweat, he heard her continue, seemingly talking to herself. "Although we're a generation apart, and I'm 7 years older than you, broadly speaking, we can be considered contemporaries." The driver, who had worked for the Song family for over 30 years, couldn't contain himself upon hearing this and interjected. "Miss Song, how did you figure that? That's quite a stretch." Song Jiwan glanced at the man grinning in the rearview mirror, a hint of resignation in her voice. "Uncle Lou, don't spoil my fun." All right. I won't say another word. You go on, continue." Only then did Song Jiwan look away and pick up where she left off. "Although we haven't had much interaction before, we're husband and wife now. You don't have to be so afraid of me. Just talk to me like any other couple would. I'll listen to my husband's suggestions and fulfill my responsibilities as a wife." This was the first time Zhou Qianze had heard her speak at such length. It was also the first time he had seen her chat so casually and freely in a public setting. For a moment, he felt a little uncomfortable and couldn't help but ask, "Say whatever I want." Seeing Song Jiwan nod, he mustered his courage and asked a question. "Why did you agree to marry me?" Song Jiwan was stunned for a few seconds, but she quickly recovered and posed a question back to him. "I can answer you, but before that, I want to ask you a question too. Why did you choose me as your marriage partner?" Now it was Zhou Qianze's turn to feel a headache coming on. Fortunately, he was quick-witted and soon came up with a few reasons. "I'm the only son of the Zhou family, and you're the head of the Song family. Marriage is about a union of powerful families. Besides, we're not that far apart in age, so we'll definitely have common ground and things to talk about. No need to worry about getting along after marriage. And you're so outstanding, I thought I'd try asking the best first. If you actually agreed, wouldn't I be the lucky one?" Song Jiwan knew immediately that he was just making things up. This wasn't what he truly felt. But there were some things she really wanted to get to the bottom of. So, After he finished his rambling explanation, she pressed further. In your mind, I was your first choice for marriage, and Mengqing was the second option. The carriage fell silent in an instant. The mere mention of that name brought back a flood of Wei-Sura memories for Zhou Qianze, his gaze subtly shifting. Sensing his reluctance to discuss the person, Song Zhuan was about to change the subject when she heard his voice, noticeably lower. No. Two decisive words, spoken with unwavering finality. Zhou Qianze then lifted his head and looked at her steadily, his eyes holding a resoluteness she had never seen before. If you don't agree, then I will definitely not join the Song family. I'll find a way to call off this arranged marriage. Hearing this answer, Song Zhuan felt a strange sense of relief. She rubbed her fingertips together and asked two more questions that were crucial to him. Isn't Mengqing good? Didn't you like her very much? Her barely audible voice carried a trace of complex emotions, difficult to decipher. Zhou Qianze caught it. He knew why she was asking this, and he knew that his answer would affect their future interactions. Song Zhuan was a woman of proud forbearance. She would never allow herself to be someone's second choice, a substitute for an unattainable love. In their past life, those feelings had been completely buried for over 30 years, only to be discovered after her accidental death, revealing her almost abnormal self-control. If she knew that he had been reborn and had chosen her only to avoid repeating the past, she would undoubtedly continue to bury those feelings. This was not what Zhou Qianze wanted, so he lied. I only ever liked her face. I figured, since it's an arranged marriage anyway, marrying a beautiful and accomplished woman wouldn't be so bad, so I chased after her. You're so capable. You must have known that she doesn't love me, right? I don't have your abilities. I only recently found out about it. I'm the esteemed young master of the Zhou family. How could I tolerate my wife having another man in her heart? So without any hesitation, I decided to dump her. You're 1,000 times better than her, so I thought I'd give it a try. Anyway, everyone in Jingbei knows that I, Zhou Qianze, am unscrupulous and shameless when it comes to chasing women. Although his tone was light, Song Zhuan saw the faint glimmer of tears in his eyes. Having navigated the treacherous waters of the business world for years, she had seen all sorts of people and could easily see through them. But facing a lying Zhou Qianze, she couldn't bring herself to say a harsh word, only wanting to embrace him. And she did just that. After all, they were husband and wife now. The restraints of the past no longer applied. The man sobbed softly, his tear-soaked shirt clinging to her, causing an inexplicable ache in her chest. She gently patted his back, her voice gentler and warmer than the spring sun. This is called bravery, not unscrupulousness. It was a simple sentence, yet it acted like putty, smoothing over the deeply etched, uneven scars on Zhou Qianze's heart. He no longer suppressed the emotions that had caused him so much pain, letting them all flow out in his tears. After a good, long cry, he was also hungry, and the car had stopped. The carriage was left with only the newlywed couple, still holding each other close. With the emotions dissipated, Zhou Qianze felt nothing but embarrassment when he recalled the previous scene. How could he have cried in front of Song Zhuan? How was he supposed to explain this? As he pondered, Song Zhuan spoke first. Weren't you curious why I agreed to the arranged marriage? The reasons are the same as yours. Firstly, for a powerful alliance. Secondly, because you're very good. And thirdly, I'm getting older, it's time to settle down. Zhou Qianze knew immediately that she was just making excuses. In her previous life, she had been pressured by her family to get married until she was 35, all for him, and she had remained single. So he muttered under his breath, "Liar." A flicker of surprise crossed Song Zhuan's eyes, and she nodded noncommittally. You lied to me too. 101, we're even. One night, Song Mengqing was drowning herself in alcohol, drinking until she vomited, yet she refused to put down the glass. Beside her, Lin Majuan's eyes were swollen from crying, his voice hoarse as he pleaded with her. Mengqing, please stop drinking, okay? If you keep this up, you'll end up in the hospital. Don't hurt yourself like this over a man who doesn't know what's good for him, a social climber. Okay? Hearing this, Song Mengqing's somewhat muddled eyes regained a bit of clarity. She grabbed Lin Majuan's collar, her voice still carrying a drunken slur. What do you mean? Doesn't know what's good for him, social climber. He married my little aunt just to spite me. We've known each other for over 10 years. How could I not understand his little games? He just wants me to coax him. I'll go find him right now, just crook my finger, and he'll definitely come running back. With that, Song Mengqing pushed away the wine bottles and staggered to her feet, heading towards the door. Lin Majuan bit his lip, his face full of resentment as he followed her. The taxi driver stopped the car at the South Bay Villa. Song Mengqing directly entered the password and barged in. In the quiet of the night, the incessant knocking disturbed everyone's peaceful slumber. The butler opened the door and, seeing it was her, quickly called for someone to help her inside, and was about to go upstairs to inform Song Jiwan. A gust of evening wind sobered Song Mengqing up a little, and she insisted on going upstairs with them, banging on the door. Awakened by the noise, Song Jiwan opened the door and, seeing her drunken state, her expression immediately turned cold. Take her to sober up. The butler, receiving the order, immediately led people into the bathroom. In the hallway, only Lin Majuan remained. He lowered his head, trying to minimize his presence, his voice sounding as if he were about to cry. Miss Song. Song Jiwan glanced at him, about to ask what had happened tonight, when she heard footsteps behind her. What's all the commotion? Seeing Zhou Qianze rubbing his eyes as he walked out, a bit of warmth rose in her cold eyes. She turned and took his arm. It's nothing, you go back to sleep. I'll handle it quickly. Hearing a familiar voice, Lin Majuan couldn't help but look up, only to see the person Song Mengqing had been pining for all night, now nestled in another woman's arms, being carefully tended to. Thinking of how his careful schemes had come to nothing, and how the person he hated most was now living the life he envied, Lin Majuan was filled with resentment and couldn't resist stirring up trouble. Mr. Zhou, Miss Song was heartbroken all night because you got married today. No matter how angry you are with her, you shouldn't have used Miss Song as a shield to hurt her so. She had already agreed to marry you. How could you go back on your word? After not seeing him for a few days, Lin Majuan's ability to sow discord and speak in such a saccharine, manipulative way had truly grown. Zhou Qianze raised an eyebrow, about to speak, when he heard Song Jiwan's low voice. Sharp tongue. Tomorrow, I'll have to ask my sister-in-law how she managed to train such a clever servant. Hearing the words sister-in-law, Lin Majuan felt a chill run through his entire body. Song Mengqing's parents had always disliked him, and had tried several times to find reasons to fire his family, but Song Mengqing had always stopped them. If Song Jiwan personally complained to them, not even the gods could save his family. So he stammered an explanation, his words slurring. No, Miss Song, I'm telling the truth. The Pezon Emea. Zhou has always wanted to marry is our miss, all of northern capital knows. Before he could finish, Zhou Qianze cracked his knuckles and swiftly slapped him twice across the face. He used enough force to make Lin Majuan see stars, both sides of his face swelling up like a red birthday peach. Why did you hit me? Lin Majuan, dazed from the two slaps, lost his composure as well. He slumped to the floor, screaming hysterically. Zhou Qianze blew on his stinging palms and glanced at him indifferently. One slap is for you hitting me with your car last time, and the other is in return for yours. Is that hard to understand? Hearing this, Song Jiwan's gaze instantly froze. When she looked down at the person on the floor again, the emotions contained in those eyes made Lin Majuan shudder. There was no anger, no contempt, only the indifference of looking at an ant. In an instant, his scalp tingled, and for the first time he felt death so close. Just as he was nearing a breakdown, the housekeeper emerged with Song Mengqing, who was mostly sober now. She spotted Zhou Qianze at once and stumbled over, trying to grab him. But Song Jiwan slapped her hand away. Years of spoiled behavior made her want to lash out, but when she looked up and saw that familiar face, her impatience instantly turned to fear. Auntie. Song Jiwan had never lorded her seniority over this niece, who wasn't much younger. But at this moment, she was in a terrible mood, and thus showed no mercy, reprimanding her in front of the servants. Song Mengqing, throwing a drunken tantrum in my house, and bringing a biting dog along. Have you become so forgetful that you've forgotten what I told you about the Song family not tolerating drunkards and good-for-nothings. The atmosphere in the entire villa dropped to freezing point because of these words. Everyone held their breath, shrinking back to avoid drawing the family head's ire. Except for Zhou Qinze. It was the first time he had seen Song Jiwan so angry. It was also the first time he had seen the usually lawless Song Mengqing so thoroughly subdued, which naturally surprised him. There truly is a remedy for everything. Since he had someone backing him now, he didn't need to hold back anymore, and decided to make everything clear. Song Mengqing, sit for now and you have to call me uncle, I'll be frank. I have no desire to be involved in your and Lin Majuan's melodramatic love story. Whether you two break up or stay together has nothing to do with me. Stay out of my sight from now on. I have my own family now, and I'm also your elder. Even if we meet in the future, I expect you to show me basic respect. I don't expect you to be overly deferential, but the necessary etiquette is still required, so people won't gossip about the Song family's lack of discipline. Wouldn't you agree? These few words made Song Mengqing's veins bulge with anger. Just as she was about to retort, she heard another voice that filled her with dread. Didn't you understand? I understood. Seeing Song Mengqing's submissive apology, Song Jiwan felt weary, and left with a word, took Zhou Qinze by the hand and returned to the room. If you understood, then leave. Do I need to call the servants to escort you out? Song Mengqing didn't dare to linger for a moment, and dragged Lin Majuan downstairs in a panicked escape. The villa returned to silence. Zhou Qinze yawned, and just as he was about to lie back down on the bed, Song Jiwan pulled him into her embrace. What happened with the car accident? Did you hurt your forehead, then? Tell me. Zhou Qinze didn't want to worry her, so he tried to brush it off. It's nothing, it's all in the past. See, I am healthy. Song Jiwan interrupted him with a frown, picking up her phone to arrange a hospital checkup. If you were injured, it's not nothing. Hearing the concern and worry in her voice, Zhou Qinze's nose stung, and he felt like crying again. But he held back his tears and told her everything that had happened during this time, in detail. After the marriage alliance was set, I wanted to make things clear with Song Mengqing. The next afternoon, Song Mengqing was drowsily awakened by someone shoving her. She pressed a hand to her throbbing forehead and opened her eyes, ready to lash out, only to see Lin Majuan, who was sobbing uncontrollably. Mengqing, Madam wants to fire my parents and kick our whole family out of the Song house. Please think of something. The hazy images in her mind vanished instantly upon hearing this. She sat up abruptly, her voice full of disbelief. Impossible. With that, she grabbed her phone, intending to call Mother Song and demand an explanation. But as soon as the call connected and she stated her purpose, Mother Song hung up. This matter is non-negotiable. Hearing this resolute response, Lin Majuan's sobs grew louder, and he clung to her, pleading incessantly. Mengqing, miss, please talk to Madam again, okay? My family hasn't done anything wrong. I just want to stay by your side. You must understand how I feel, right? Seeing him so distraught, Song Mengqing's heart ached. After learning Mother Song's location, she rushed to the old residence with the Lin family in tow. The usually quiet old residence was bustling with activity today. Voices could be heard from a distance. Song Mengqing had no idea what was happening inside and initially intended to wait for her mother to come out. However, after just a few minutes, she couldn't withstand Lin Majuan's repeated pleas and forced her way in. The moment the living room door was flung open, everyone in the hall turned around. Seeing the entire Song family, old and young, along with Father Zhou and Mother Zhou, gathered together, and witnessing Song Jiwan and Zhou Qinze kneeling before Old Master Song, offering tea, Song Mengqing realized this was not an opportune moment. She was about to leave with her entourage when Mother Lin, completely oblivious to the situation, threw herself to the ground, kneeling before Father Song and Mother Song, wailing and lamenting. Madam, Lao Lin and I have served you and Sir for over 10 years. I watched Miss grow up. Why are you firing our whole family without a word? If we've done something wrong, please tell us and we'll change. Being confronted by several servants in such a public manner, Madam Song's face darkened instantly. Enough. We'll discuss this matter back home. This is the old residence. Mother Lin, you're overstepping. Hearing the words, old residence, Mother Lin only cried harder, even kneeling before the old master to plead her case. In an instant, the well-intended tea ceremony transformed into a courtroom drama of alleged injustice. The Lin family of three insisted that the old master intervene, while Father Song and Mother Song were fuming but couldn't intervene due to etiquette and social considerations. Old Master Song had always been benevolent and never treated servants harshly, so upon hearing this, he was determined to get to the bottom of it. Seeing that even her grandfather was personally involved, Song Mengxing realized something was wrong. She fell silent, desperately trying to signal Lin Majuan with her eyes. But Lin Majuan, immersed in his own misery, misinterpreted her actions as a sign of complete abandonment and joined his mother in relentlessly kowtowing. Just as things were about to spiral out of control, Song Jiwan calmly picked up a cup from the table and smashed it in front of the Lin family. With a crash, glass shattered everywhere. The chaotic and disrupted hall fell instantly silent. After helping Zhou Qinzi sit down, Song Jiwan walked up to the old master and bowed slightly. "Dad, why don't you, Uncle Zhou, and Aunt Jiang go upstairs for some tea and chat? Leave this matter to me. I promise to give you and our relatives a satisfactory explanation." With his words, Grandpa Song naturally felt at ease and left with his in-laws. Only the Song family remained in the living room. Song Jiwan sat in the highest position, looking down at the three people kneeling on the ground, his voice devoid of any emotion. "Lin Majuan, I remember you have a sharp tongue. Represent the Lin family and explain everything clearly." Facing the head of the family, who was feared by those beneath him, Lin Majuan was filled with dread. But he also knew that this was his only chance, with so many people present. So he wiped the tears from his face, knelt on the ground, and recounted the cause and effect of the whole affair. After listening, the Song family's relatives, along with the bodyguards and servants at the door, all wore expressions of disbelief. It's the 21st century, so what if they were fired? It's not like they couldn't find another job. Was it necessary to make such a scene? Only Song Jiwan showed no change in expression from beginning to end. He summoned his elder brother and sister-in-law and asked them to gather all the servants in the house. In front of everyone, he asked the servants about their thoughts on the dismissal of the Lin family. At the mention of this, the previously silent crowd came forward one after another, pouring out their hearts. I think Madam was right. Lin Majuan, relying on the young Mrs. Favor, was always throwing his weight around the house. He even dared to take Madam's jewelry and clothes, threatening us not to tell, and saying that if Madam asked, we should say the young miss took them or broke them. I also think they should have been fired. Lin Ma was always bragging about how her son might climb the social ladder any day now. She pushed all the work onto us and was always slacking off. Lin Shu was the same. He would even steal the gifts brought by guests, and when he was caught, he would say that the young miss had agreed to it. Who knows how many times that happened? The faces of the Lin family turned ashen amidst the rising chorus of accusations. Song Mengxing, who had been anxious to the point of near collapse, also had a subtle change in her expression after hearing all this. The rest of the Song family were either filled with righteous indignation or glared coldly, with not a single person showing any sympathy for these three. Zhou Qinzi, who had been watching coldly from the sidelines, picked up his teacup and took a few sips, a hint of coldness flashing in his eyes. In his previous life, this scene had also occurred, but at that time he had not held a wedding, and Song Jiwan was far away overseas. Song Mengxing had not accompanied him to offer tea and had barged in with the Lin family. The elderly Grandpa Song had been softened by the Lin family's crying and had scolded Father Song and Mother Song on the spot. Although Father Song and Mother Song admitted their mistake, not long after they returned home, they found another excuse to drive the Lin family away. They also demanded compensation, causing the Lin family to fall into debt with loan sharks. With nowhere else to turn, the Lin family had no choice but to marry Lin Majuan to the debt collector to settle the debt. 3 years after his marriage, his wife passed away. Zhou Qinzi's destiny was thus changed. Reborn in this life, he changed his marriage partner, and the story took a different turn. Under the same circumstances, with Song Jiwan presiding, he believed that everything would be different. And indeed, it was as he expected. After Father Song and Mother Song also publicly clarified the matter, Song Jiwan directly announced the outcome. Everyone has heard the testimonies clearly, and the material evidence should also be in the Lin family's possession. Brother, sister-in-law, I believe that based on the current situation, you should report this as a case of illegal theft and seek to recover and claim compensation for the stolen goods. What do you think? This awakened the others. Father Song and Mother Song quickly called 110. Lin Shu and Lin Ma, realizing the astronomical value of the items they had stolen and damaged, were already losing their minds, kowtowing heavily and begging for mercy. But Father Song and Mother Song, who had been utterly humiliated, showed no mercy. Hearing the police siren, Lin Majuan crawled on his knees to Song Mengqing, tearfully begging her. But Song Mengqing, having witnessed the whole process, felt no sympathy in her heart. Her gaze towards Lin Majuan was no longer as gentle as before. Things have come to this in the future. The rest of the words caught in Song Mengqing's throat. She stared in disbelief at Lin Shu, who had rushed to the kitchen, picked up a knife, and slit his own throat. Dad! Lin Majuan's hysterical cry had barely ended when Lin Ma, with a look of despair, also slit her own throat. Mom! Crimson blood splattered on the marble floor. Drip, drip, drip. The surveillance cameras captured the entire sequence of events clearly. Police cleaned up the scene, took statements, and were about to take the body and Lin Majuan back to the station. Song Mengqing, cradling him, refused to let go. Lin Majuan collapsed in her arms, eyes vacant, was clearly in a state of shock. Her heart ached for him, and she was about to negotiate with the police, hoping to wait until he had stabilized emotionally. Song Jiwan prevented this from happening. She produced a surveillance video and handed it to the officer, calmly making a request. Officer Zhang, this video clearly shows Lin Majuan's involvement in the murder of my husband. I request a formal investigation. Hearing this, Lin Majuan, who had seemed utterly lost, instantly snapped back to awareness, screaming uncontrollably. It wasn't me. It was an accident. The police already investigated, and Mengqing signed a letter of understanding for me. You can't hold me accountable. He argued vehemently, and Song Mengqing tried to corroborate his claims. Song Jiwan didn't give her the chance. Officer Zhang, my husband and the signatory were only friends. The letter of understanding at the police station has no legal standing. Furthermore, my husband himself insisted on pursuing accountability and investigation. Do you understand what I'm saying? Officer Zhang's face turned serious. He solemnly accepted the evidence and prepared to take Lin Majuan away. Song Mengqing still tried to intervene, but Song Jiwan stopped her with a single sentence. If you walk out that door today, you no longer need to bear the surname Song. Our Song family has no place for criminals who collude with murderers. Furthermore, you were also present on the day of the incident, and your name is on the agreement. You will undoubtedly be summoned by the police station. I expect you to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Whether you were truly innocent or an accomplice, that's for the police and the court to decide. Song Mengqing's face turned ashen, and she dared not speak another word. Seeing her in action, Lin Majuan's last shred of hope vanished. He mustered all his strength, broke free, lunged at her, and slapped her hard across the face, his voice filled with despair. Song Mengqing, you are such a weak, incompetent, and heartless woman. I misjudged you. No wonder Zhou Qinza looked down on you. You deserve to be dumped by him and used by me, ha ha ha. Let me tell you, I never liked you. All those sweet words I whispered to you were just to trick you into giving me money and gifts. That's all you were good for. Besides your money in that face, you're a useless piece of trash. If I could live my life over, I'd rather marry a maid than ever look at you again. Song Mengqing's eyes, which had held a flicker of hesitation and pity, turned cold at these words. For the first time, she realized that the person she had loved and protected for so many years was nothing more than a materialistic, vulgar creature. She shoved Lin Majuan away, her voice filled with unspoken anger and pain. Get out. The police escorted the struggling man out of the Song family mansion. The moment the door closed, Song Mengqing felt all the strength drain from her body. She turned around wearily, only to meet a familiar pair of eyes. It was Zhou Qianze. Seeing him, the gloom in her heart deepened. She opened her mouth slightly, wanting to call out to him. Qianze. Zhou Qianze didn't respond. He extended his hand to Song Zhuan, his voice gentle and soft. Things are temporarily settled. It's time for you to offer tea to my parents. All right, they must be getting impatient. Watching the two figures leave, side by side, the light gradually faded from Song Mingqing's eyes. A sharp pain surged in her chest, so intense that tears welled up. She felt something slipping away from her, drifting further and further away. Lost forever. On the way home, Song Zhuan was looking over the hospital report that her secretary had just delivered. She read the line, "Minor trauma, no abnormalities in organs or bones," 6 or 7 times before finally feeling relieved. Zhou Qianze, sitting beside her, casually took the report and tossed it into her bag, his tone light. "I told you I was fine. You insisted on taking me for a checkup this morning. Now are you finally reassured?" "I needed to see the results with my own eyes to be at ease. It's just a bit of extra time." "That made sense." Zhou Qianze nodded, then remembered something important. "When did you get the surveillance footage from Song Mingqing's villa?" "This morning," Song Zhuan replied briskly. Zhou Qianze was a little puzzled. "She doesn't know? She doesn't need to know. After all, every asset she owns has to go through me. Houses, cars, shares, everything." Hearing this, a strange thought suddenly popped into Zhou Qianze's head. He didn't have time to catch this fleeting inspiration before it vanished, leaving only a lingering sense of unease that he couldn't shake off. But everything was resolved, and he didn't bother to dwell on it. He enthusiastically asked Song Zhuan if she wanted to try his cooking. She glanced at him, surprised. "You can cook." The 21-year-old Zhou Qianze certainly couldn't. But in his previous life, after having a daughter, he had learned a lot from a nutritionist. However, he didn't dare to pretend he knew it all in front of her and modestly claimed to know a little. Once in the kitchen, he burned the fresh, plump Xinjiang fish until it was black, and the kitchen filled with smoke. The confidence on his face turned to embarrassment as he scrambled for excuses. "All I know how to make are nutritious meals. This is my first time frying fish. It's normal to mess up, right?" Song Zhuan suppressed her laughter, fully affirming his statement. "Then just make nutritious meals from now on. We'll both eat healthily, so we can live to 100 and grow old together." It was clearly a well-intentioned statement, but Zhou Qianze felt a pang of sadness upon hearing it. In his previous life, he had only lived to 35, and she had died in the same year. Together, they hadn't even reached 100 years. Although their fates had changed in this life, what lay ahead? Nobody knew. Seeing the flicker of distraction in his eyes, Song Zhuan guessed he was probably thinking of something unpleasant and quickly changed the subject. "But if you don't know how to cook fish, why did you suddenly want to try?" That question stumped Zhou Qianze. He stammered, unable to give a good reason, and finally, a bit annoyed, wiped his blackened hands on her clothes. "I heard you liked it, if I'd known you wouldn't appreciate it, I wouldn't have bothered." Song Zhuan wiped his hands while coaxing him. "Even if it's burnt, I'll love anything my husband makes. Why don't we have some more fish delivered? I'll help you watch the heat. We'll definitely succeed today." Encouraged by her words, Zhou Qianze rolled up his sleeves again. After several hours of effort, and after sacrificing 3 poor fish, he finally managed to simmer a pot of milky white fish soup. Song Zhuan immediately took a photo to commemorate the occasion and posted her first ever WeChat moment. "The first bowl of fish soup my husband made." Within minutes, the likes and comments reached 99 plus. "Who made it? Qianze? When did he learn to cook? None of US knew. So sour, so sour, so sour, so sour. Someone make me a bowl of fish soup too. I want to try it too. Get your brother-in-law to show off his skills next time." Song Zhuan also saw this post on Moments. Gazing at the hand adorned with a ring, barely visible at the corner of the photo, her desolation reached its peak. This ring was meant to be hers. This bowl of fish soup was also meant to be cooked for her. But now everything was gone. She had nothing left, only a cold, empty room. Where did it all go wrong? Song Zhuan couldn't figure it out and could only drown her sorrows in alcohol. After a few drinks, her suppressed inhibitions were released, and she couldn't resist calling Zhou Qianze. It took 4 calls before he finally answered, and all she heard was a faint breath. Dazed and with a heavy voice, she spoke. "Qianze, I was wrong before. I shouldn't have ignored you time and time again. I'm sorry. I know you have feelings for me, and marrying my little aunt was just to spite me, right? Divorce her and come back to me, okay? I promise you, I'll make up for the wedding and the ring. From now on, I'll be with you wholeheartedly." She murmured softly, pouring out all her unspoken feelings. But the other end remained silent. This endless silence made Song Mengqing feel flustered. "Qianze, why aren't you saying? Honey, where's the hairdryer?" Hearing a familiar voice faintly through the phone, Song Mengqing's breath hitched. The next second, she heard Song Jiwan's voice, close and clear. "Wait a moment, I'll get it for you." After a gentle response, her tone turned icy. "Song Mengqing, your priority right now is to give an explanation to the police, not to offend your uncle whom you've hurt repeatedly." With a beep, the call was disconnected. Song Mengqing's heart sank into the darkness. On the other side, Song Jiwan was blow-drying Zhou Qianze's hair. While playing with her phone, she casually asked, "Did someone call just now?" Song Jiwan nodded, truthfully replying. Song Mengqing got drunk again and called to rant. "I gave her a piece of my mind for you." A piece of her mind? The phrase used in relation to Song Mengqing felt somewhat incongruous to Zhou Qianze. But remembering that she and he were now relatives, a strange feeling of superiority suddenly arose in him, and he couldn't help but ask for clarification. "From the sound of your voice, it seems like you often scold her. But aren't you only 6 years older than her?" Seeing the curiosity on his face, Song Jiwan chuckled. "When she was in kindergarten, she was very naughty. She deliberately pulled a chair away, causing Grandpa to fall and be hospitalized for half a month with a fracture. I gave her a good dressing down, and ever since, she's been like a mouse seeing a cat whenever she sees me. So it left a psychological shadow." Zhou Qianze finally understood the reason. "She's so afraid of you. What do you think of her?" Song Jiwan's hand paused, a myriad of complex emotions flashing in her eyes. After a long deliberation, she carefully chose her words. Too impulsive, immature, and not up to the task. A rather objective evaluation. Zhou Qianze was somewhat amazed by Song Jiwan's spot-on judgment of people and couldn't help but want to ask her opinion of himself. This time, she hesitated even longer. Intelligent, rational, decisive, and most importantly, has good taste. Having lived 2 lifetimes, this was the first time Zhou Qianze had heard someone describe him with these words. But only he knew that these were lessons he had learned through blood and tears. 7 years of a marriage filled with cold violence, his daughter's tragic death, a life plagued by illness and unfulfilled desires. Even though it was all in the distant past, Zhou Qianze still felt a pang of sorrow whenever he thought about it. She embraced Song Jiwan, listening to her heartbeat, and slowly worked through those emotions. Everything was a fresh start. Days drifted by, and on the day of the first snowfall, Lin Majuan, burdened with multiple charges including theft and premeditated murder, was sentenced by the court to 6 years in prison. When the news reached Song Mengqing, she was in a drunken stupor, paying it no mind. For the past 6 months, she had immersed herself in a life of debauchery, rarely experiencing moments of clarity. No one could dissuade her, and after each bout of drinking, she would endlessly murmur Zhou Qianze's name. Her friends exchanged worried glances, but not a single one dared to contact her. To be precise, no one dared to provoke Song Jiwan. After all, the media had several times captured photos of the two of them on their honeymoon abroad, looking like newlyweds deeply in love. Just before the new year, Song Jiwan returned with Zhou Qianze. Their honeymoon concluded to celebrate the holidays. On New Year's Eve, at the Song family banquet, she radiantly announced good news to the entire family. "I'm pregnant, and the doctor says it's twins." Amidst a chorus of congratulations, Song Mengqing, however, lost her composure and dropped her wine glass. The entire family turned to look at her, her face pale, as she forced out the word congratulations through gritted teeth, summoning all her strength. Every second felt unbearably long. After just 10 minutes, Song Mengqing made a casual excuse and hastily departed. That night, She didn't sleep, nor did she drink, but sat lifelessly in a corner, reminiscing about the past. The bright, incandescent light illuminated the room, and she stared blankly at the things in the cabinet that Zhou Qianze had given her. The jar of 999 stars he had folded for her when she was 10, the model he had painstakingly assembled for over half a month when she was 16, the brooch and cufflinks he had personally designed when she was 20. As she looked, Song Mengqing's eyes reddened. A wave of pain washed over her, her heart feeling as if it were being clenched by a hand, making it hard to breathe. She covered her face, tears streaming down her fingers, soaking her sleeves. From that moment on, she finally understood the meaning of cherishing something only after losing it. Although the babies were only 3 months along, Song Zhuan had already started thinking about names. She had drafted a dozen or so names for both boys and girls, including nicknames, and showed them to Zhou Qianze. He put down the parenting book he was holding and glanced at them, immediately drawn to one. He picked up the piece of paper, looking at the characters Ing Meng written on it, his eyes welling up with tears. Why did you think of this name? Although unsure why he was so emotional, Song Zhuan immediately embraced him, comforting him softly. You don't like it? We don't have to use it. We can look at the others. As she spoke, Song Zhuan reached out to take the name and discard it. Zhou Qianze stopped her, holding the piece of paper close to his heart, a tearful smile on his face. No, let's use this one. We'll definitely have a daughter, and we'll call her Ing Meng. He said it with such certainty that Song Zhiwan reached up to wipe away the tears from the corner of his eyes and handed him another piece of paper. All right, then for the other child, how about Xing'a? Hearing this, Zhou Qianze realized something was amiss. Song Ing Meng was the name of his daughter in his previous life, a name chosen by Old Master Song. But hearing the pair of names she had chosen, he suddenly realized that the name Ing Meng seemed to be her creation. He recalled that in his previous life, he had taken his child to the old mansion to visit Old Master Song, and Song Zhuan, who had been abroad, happened to be back. When they were leaving, they met at the door. After he greeted her, he was about to take his leave, but she, uncharacteristically, stopped him. You brought the child back alone? Where is she? At that time, Song Mengqing was still immersed in the devastating news of Lin Majuan's marriage, drowning her sorrows in alcohol night after night, rarely seen for days on end. His heart ached, yet he still tried to cover for her. She's been busy lately. I didn't want to disturb her work, so I came back alone. Even after all these years, Zhou Qianze still remembered the look Song Zhiwan gave him then. It was clouded, inscrutable, and tinged with a hint of hidden pain. He hadn't understood it then. Now, recalling it, his heart was filled with mixed emotions. In his previous life, he had been filled with a reckless courage, determined to see things through. She, too, had concealed her innermost thoughts so perfectly, and so the two of them had missed out on so many years. 7 months later, Song Zhiwan gave birth to twin daughters. He and Song Zhiwan had agreed that their elder daughter, Song Ing Meng, would inherit the Song family business, and their younger daughter, Jiang Xinghe, would inherit the Zhou family business. During Song Zhiwan's pregnancy, he had stayed by her side while also taking care of her work for the next 6 months. Therefore, after the children were born, Song Zhiwan had plenty of time to help take care of them, and with the additional support from Zhou's mother, Song Zhuan enjoyed a leisurely life. After her postpartum confinement, the couple took their children back to the old family residence. The old master was overjoyed and divided the jewelry left by the old madam into 2 portions, giving them all to his 2 great-granddaughters. The other elder members of the Song family had also prepared generous gifts. Song's father and mother even transferred ownership of their private amusement park, saying it was a welcome gift for their granddaughters. Zhou Qianze remembered that this amusement park had originally been under Song Mengqing's name. He subconsciously glanced at her, only to realize that, after not seeing her for several months, she looked haggard and almost unrecognizable. Perhaps sensing his gaze, Song Mengqing raised her head. Her bloodshot eyes flickered for a moment, and then she looked away. Song Zhiwan also followed his gaze and frowned slightly. In the years since she and Zhou Qianze had been married, she had rarely inquired about Song Mengqing's affairs, but she had heard some rumors from time to time. Although Song Jiwan disliked her spoiled princess attitude, she was still the daughter of her eldest brother. As the head of the Song family, both emotionally and rationally, she couldn't watch Song Mengqing continue down this path of self-destruction. So, after the family banquet ended, Song Jiwan called her into the study. No one knew what they discussed, but when Song Mengqing came out, her complexion had improved a lot, and there was a spark in her eyes again. Seeing her revitalize, the old master, Song's father, and Song's mother were all relieved. On the way home, Zhou Qinze couldn't resist his curiosity. "Honey, what did you talk about in the study?" Song Jiwan tucked the small blanket around the child and held his hand in hers. "I gave her the Jingchuan project. Just that. Just that." Seeing the confusion on Zhou Qinze's face, Song Jiwan patiently explained, "The reason she's been drowning herself in alcohol is that she's been living a life of luxury for too long and is trapped in romantic entanglements. Give her something to do, and when she's busy, she won't have time to dwell on these things. It's better than her drinking herself into trouble one day and worrying our elder brother and sister-in-law." Winter passed, and spring arrived, year after year. The two little girls gradually grew up, babbling and learning to call for mommy and daddy. Since their marriage, Song Jiwan, once known as a workaholic, had started living a 9-to-5 life with punctual departures. Every day after work, her first task, as instructed by Zhou Qinze, was to buy various desserts, toys, and a bouquet of flowers. Before they even enter the house, the two little ones would hear their footsteps and rush over, calling mommy nonstop. The decisive and resolute female CEO in the business world was completely overwhelmed by her daughter's siege. Sometimes she would take the elder one on the swing, other times she would take the younger one to play with the toy train, not getting a moment's rest. After 4 or 5 years of such torture, Song Jiwan couldn't take it anymore. As soon as the children reached the right age, she sent them to kindergarten. On the first day of school, after waving goodbye and watching the two little figures disappear behind the door, she let out a long sigh of relief and left, holding Zhou Qinze's hand. Seeing her eagerness, he clicked his tongue and teased with a smile, "I wonder who it was that said 2 daughters were wonderful and wanted to be with them every moment as they grew up, even saying they wanted to open a kindergarten at home. It's only been a few years, and you can't stand it anymore." Song Jiwan pressed her temples, deeply regretting her youthful ignorance. Neither of us is particularly lively, so how do we end up with 2 kids who are each more boisterous than the other? On this matter, Zhou Qinze had plenty to say. He looked at her steadily, speaking with heartfelt earnestness. "It's not that you spoil them too much. If I say just a few words, you're there smoothing things over. How could they possibly calm down? If you ask me, you're just creating your own problems." After being lectured, Song Jiwan didn't dare say a word. Seeing her silently accepting the criticism, their driver, Uncle Liu, couldn't help but chuckle. "Sir, ever since you married President Song, her standing in the family has been declining day by day. Who would have thought that someone who used to be so stern with everyone would become such a gentle person?" Song Jiwan shook her head helplessly, unable to refute. Zhou Qinze covered his mouth, snickering, his eyes brimming with mirth. "Uncle Liu, don't let her gloomy face fool you. She's actually enjoying it." "That's right. Sir, you don't know, but the employees at the company are very grateful to you. They say that after President Song got married, she realized the importance of family. Everyone doesn't have to work overtime anymore. They just leave with President Song when it's time. In that case, Uncle Liu, park the car on the side of the road, and you can go home too." Since the boss had spoken, Uncle Liu didn't dawdle. He quickly parked the car and handed over the keys. Song Jiwan got into the driver's seat and entered an address into the display screen. Zhou Qinze, unsure of what she was up to now, casually asked, "What are we going to Yanqing Mountain for?" "Date. The weather is so nice, and I heard there's a new hot spring resort there. It'd be nice to see the autumn scenery." Zhou Qinze had already planned to go home and take a nap, and he objected to this unannounced trip. Song Jiwan softened her voice and negotiated with him. "How long has it been since we had some time alone? Husband, it's a rare opportunity." Zhou Qinze couldn't resist her and could only agree. After enjoying a comfortable soak in the hot springs, the couple nestled together in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, gazing at the mountain covered with green pines and red leaves. Song Juan carefully adjusted the bath towel draped over his shoulders, her movements patient and meticulous. Looking at those gentle eyes so close to him, Zhou Qianze felt a surreal sensation. Could a life of harmonious bliss really be a part of his life? After being stared at for a while, Song Juan playfully tapped his nose. What's wrong? Daydreaming again? After a long moment of contemplation, Zhou Qianze asked her a question. Back then, if I hadn't married you, oh no, if I hadn't entered the Song family, would you have married someone else? No. Why? Why? Song Juan wrapped her arm around his shoulder and leaned back against the chair, her deep, dark eyes looking into the distance. If it wasn't for a marriage alliance, I wouldn't have considered getting married at all. Zhou Qianze knew she was telling the truth, and he also knew she wasn't telling the whole truth. For instance, in the first sentence, she omitted the with you between wasn't for and a marriage alliance. She wouldn't have married anyone but him. Zhou Qianze had already known the answer in their previous life, so he believed it without a doubt. But in this life, they had been married for so many years, and their children were already so big, yet she still kept her secret crush on him so tightly under wraps. Zhou Qianze somewhat admired her self-control. On the twins' 6th birthday, the old master planned a grand celebration for them. Zhou Qianze took 2 days off from school, and a family of 4 arrived at the old mansion a day early. As the banquet was about to begin, the castle cake that had been ordered days in advance still hadn't arrived. Song Juan wanted to drive to the bakery to inquire, but Zhou Qianze refused to let her leave, preferring to have the servants whip up 2 makeshift cakes instead. However, she knew how much the children had been looking forward to the castle cake and didn't want to disappoint them. The old master, doting on his great-grandchildren, also urged her to go and quickly return, but Zhou Qianze remained adamant. Song Juan was about to try and reason with him, but when she saw the slight tremor in his hands and the anxiety in his eyes, her heart softened, and she put down the car keys. It's our birthday, what's wrong? If you don't want me to go, then I won't. Cheer up, okay? Only then did Zhou Qianze slowly calm down, but he still refused to let go of her hand. He remembered all too clearly that in his previous life, Song Juan had been in a car accident on the twins' 6th birthday. Although the course of events had changed in this life, he didn't dare to take any chances. He had already experienced the pain of losing a loved one once. So this time, no matter what, he had to keep her by his side. When the 2 little girls learned that the castle cake wouldn't be delivered, their faces fell. Holding hands, they sat on the swing in the garden, sighing repeatedly. Song Mengqing, who had just returned, saw them, and a gentle smile spread across her face. Carrying the carefully prepared gifts, she walked over to them, intending to give them a surprise, when she overheard the 2 little girls whispering, "Why won't Daddy let Mommy go get our cake? I don't know, but if Daddy says no, Mommy will definitely listen to him. Never mind, we'll ask Mommy to buy a new one next year. We'll be a year older then, so the castle will definitely be even bigger and prettier." Hearing this, Song Mengqing's heart stirred. What cake? The 2 little girls saw her and rushed into her arms, calling her sister repeatedly. Then, in their childish voices, they told her about the cake. Song Mengqing nodded, handed them their gifts, and stroked their heads. "Why don't you 2 stay here and wait obediently? Sister will go and get the cake for you." The little girls didn't immediately agree, but instead, each took one of her hands. "It's okay, sister. Mommy said we'll just have a regular cake today. If she finds out, she'll definitely be angry." "That's right, sister. If you go now, you won't be back in time for us to blow out the candles, and then there won't be enough cake." Looking at their mischievous expressions, Song Mengqing felt as if she was seeing 2 miniature Zhou Qianzes standing before her. She could still vividly remember the image of him as a child, following her around and calling her sister Mengqing. It was a pity that everything was in the past. She closed her eyes, hiding the emotions in them, and forced a smile again. "It's okay, as long as you don't tell Mommy. Sister will go and get the cake for you, and you must remember to secretly save a piece of birthday cake for Sister." After the 3 of them made a pinky promise, Song Mengqing took the car keys and left. Before heading out, she inexplicably looked back and saw Zhou Qianze leading the 2 children back into the living room. He still looked like he was in his 20s, as if time had left no mark on him. But Song Mingqing knew that everything was different. He no longer belonged to her. Only after his figure disappeared behind the door did Song Mingqing despondently get into the car. The weather today was a bit gloomy. She watched the distance on the navigation system slowly shorten as she waited at a red light. When she looked up again, a very dilapidated car suddenly pulled up in the right lane beside her and rolled down the window. She instinctively turned her head, and upon seeing the gaunt and emaciated face, her gaze suddenly froze. The next second, a force of gravity slammed into them, shattering the car window. Blood gushed out like a spring. More immediate than the intense pain was the spreading sense of utter disorientation and blankness. Before losing consciousness, Song Mingqing mustered her last ounce of strength to rip off the necklace she wore. The car's smashed infotainment screen still played a song softly. I once had you. How it breaks my heart. Zhou Qianze learned of Song Mingqing's accident 8 hours after it happened. That night, their family was still staying at the old residence. The two girls were already asleep, still murmuring in their dreams about saving a piece of cake. The couple, thinking they were still dingy the castle cake, were discussing reordering one for the next day when Song Jiwan received a call. Her smiling face instantly turned serious as she quickly threw on a coat. Big brother, said Jiwan, was in a car accident. I'm going to hospital to check on things. Qianze, you stay home with the children and dad. Let's not spread this news around yet. Zhou Qianze was also shocked by the news. He thought that by keeping Song Jiwan at home, he could avert disaster, but he never imagined that Song Mingqing would be the one to have an accident. The date was the same, the cause of the accident was identical, and both were members of the Song family. All these coincidences coming together made him start to wonder, was this fate, or was someone manipulating things? If it was truly destiny, then why did Song Mingqing have to bear the ending meant for Song Jiwan? If it was a man-made accident, who could harbor such intense animosity towards the Song family? Zhou Qianze thought about it all night, but still had no clue. At daybreak, he received a text message from Song Jiwan. Rescue failed. Just 4 simple words, but Zhou Qianze understood their meaning clearly. He clenched his fists and closed his eyes. His heart, which had been racing all night, suddenly plunged into the abyss. Over the years, he had actually let go of past grievances. He regarded Song Mingqing as merely a distant relative. But there was still more than 10 years of affection, and to suddenly hear the news of her passing, he still felt a little breathless. More than sadness, his current mood was closer to bewildered helplessness. There was a sense of the futility of a deceased's passing. There was also a fear of the capriciousness of fate. After the funeral, Song Jiwan shared the investigation results with Zhou Qianze. The police said it was intentional murder, but currently there's no information about the killer. The car had no license plate. The police said it was likely stolen from a junkyard, and they're still investigating. From the time of the accident until the doctors declared the rescue a failure, Mingqing was clutching a necklace. We don't know if it was left by the killer or if it has some other meaning. Hearing this, Zhou Qianze frowned slightly. A necklace? What necklace? Song Jiwan took out the photo she had taken at the hospital and handed it to him. With just one glance, Zhou Qianze recognized the bloodstained necklace. It was the gift Song Mingqing had given him for his coming of age. The day before his and Song Jiwan's wedding, he had ripped the necklace off and returned it to her. He never imagined that after all this time, she would still have kept it. For a moment, emotions surged within him. In addition to this, a thought kept flashing in his mind. But for the moment, he didn't have any clue as to what it was. After Song Mingqing passed away, Song Jiwan took the children back to the old house every week to spend more time with elder Mr. Song. Everyone tacitly avoided mentioning that name. In the eyes of the two young girls, Song Mingqing had simply gone to a very, very far away place, and it was uncertain when she would return. Every time Song Jiwan bought a cake, they would always save a piece in the refrigerator. Time gradually diluted the atmosphere of grief in the house. The two little girls grew more and more mischievous with age, and if one wasn't careful, they would turn the house upside down. Zhou Qianze had just woken up from his nap when he saw them sneaking around in a corner, rummaging through something. He was about to walk over and scare them when the two of them waved a few sheets of paper and ran over. "Dad, who is Ah Xing?" Zhou Qianze was taken aback, only then realizing that the things in their hands looked familiar. They were the love letter Song Zhiwan had hidden. In their 7 years of marriage, he had searched the entire bedroom but couldn't find them, and now the two children had discovered them. Zhou Qianze couldn't help but feel a bit exasperated. He put the things in a box and put it away, then whispered a few words to them. When Song Zhiwan returned, the two little girls excitedly ran up and surrounded her. "Mom, who is Xing? Why did you write so many letters to him?" Seeing the things in their hands, Song Zhiwan's eyelids twitched. Just as she was about to take them, she heard Zhou Qianze's cough. He leaned against the railing on the second floor, his eyes curved in a smile, like a cunning fox. Just by seeing his expression, she knew he had definitely read the letters. The secrets she had kept hidden in her heart for over a decade were now exposed, but she felt a sense of relief. The nanny took the children outside to play, and she walked up to Zhou Qianze with the letters. Before she could speak, he preemptively cleared his name. "Your precious daughters dug them out. It has nothing to do with me." Song Zhiwan nestled into his embrace, smelling the fresh fragrance of his hair, and smiled softly. "They were meant for my Xing. How can you say it has nothing to do with you?" After all this pretense, he finally heard the truth. Zhou Qianze reached out and pinched her ear. "Confess honestly, when did this happen? Why didn't you tell me when we got married?" In front of him, Song Zhiwan could only surrender. "The love letters you wrote when you were 17. Falling in love with you. That happened when I was 13. Do you remember the year we both had the flu? My parents were busy with work every day, so they entrusted me to your mother's care. We stayed in a hospital suite, and your condition was milder, so you recovered quickly. Every day, you would bring me medicine and candy, but because you were afraid of me, you wouldn't dare to say a word. You wouldn't dare to wake me when I was asleep, and you would sit by my bedside for an hour. The medicine would get cold, and you would fall asleep. When I woke you up, the first thing you did was take away the medicine bowl, saying it was uncomfortable to drink cold medicine, and then you ran out to ask someone to heat it up for me. I have a cold personality, and my older siblings are much older than me. Those who are close to my age are all of a different generation. Everyone is afraid of me, so I've always been alone since I was young. Only you, every time you saw me, you would greet me obediently. During holidays, you would give gifts to Meng Qing and also ask her to bring one for me. Although you were kind and polite, I remembered it for many years and never forgot. It's just that I knew you didn't like me, and I was so much older than you, so I buried these things in my heart. Fortunately, I finally have the opportunity to tell you now." Too much time had passed, and Zhou Qianze actually couldn't remember the thing Song Zhiwan was talking about. But when he saw her eyes shining like stars as she recounted these past events, he couldn't stop the urge to cry. It turned out that while he was trying to reach for the stars, in another person's eyes, he was also the morning star that had illuminated her life. He wiped his tears on her clothes and choked out. "So every Christmas, the Santa Claus who put gifts on the windowsill of my room was you?" "It was me. The suit I wore on my 18th birthday was also something you mixed in with Song Zhiwan's gifts." "You guessed that too? When you heard that I was going to have an arranged marriage with you, were you so happy you lost your sense of direction?" "Yes, east, west, south, and north, I couldn't find any of them." The winter wind howled, bitter and desolate. Zhou Qianze stood alone on the empty rooftop, his mind in a daze. He didn't know why he was there, nor did he understand how, in the blink of an eye, he saw the three people he least wanted to see. Lin Majuan, holding a little girl's hand on his left and with his right hand tucked in Song Zhiwan's pocket, approached him arrogantly. "Where's your precious daughter? Where's your precious daughter?" This sentence echoed in Zhou Qianze's mind like a nightmare. He looked around frantically, searching for his daughter, but there was no one in sight. Looking up again, he saw a silver necklace gleaming coldly, its light stinging his eyes. He couldn't help but close them. When he opened them again, he was pulled from the dream and back to reality. Outside the window, the sky was just beginning to lighten. The small night light on the bedside table illuminated the calendar. Today was December 17th. On the same day, in his previous life, kidnappers had abducted his daughter and pushed her from the rooftop. And he, in the early hours of this day, had dreamt of that scene again. He gasped for breath, trying to wipe the cold sweat beading on his forehead. The slight movement of his hand woke Song Juan, who was sleeping soundly beside him. She opened her eyes sleepily, her voice thick with drowsiness. "Did you have a nightmare?" Zhou Qinze didn't want to worry her, so he shook his head gently. "I'm a little hot. I'll adjust the air conditioning. Go back to sleep, it's still early." The person beside him hummed in agreement and quickly fell back asleep. But Zhou Qinze couldn't fall asleep for a long time. He replayed the scenes from his dream over and over in his mind. But the memories faded quickly, and by dawn, the only thing he could remember was that necklace. Necklace. What did it mean? As Zhou Qinze pondered, he unconsciously reached for his neck. He felt nothing. This emptiness gave him a jolt, reminding him of an old incident. The reason he had returned the necklace to Song Mengxing was because Lin Majuan had taken a liking to it. He was so jealous of his life and wanted to take everything he had. That must have included the necklace. Song Mengxing had been clutching the necklace tightly before she died. Was she trying to tell him that Lin Majuan was the one who killed her? Realizing this, Zhou Qinze shuddered. Some things that had puzzled him for a long time were now clear. In his previous life, Lin Majuan and Song Mengxing were together. He faced two major obstacles on his path to becoming Song Mengxing's husband, Zhou Qinze and Song Yingmeng and Song Juan. One occupied the title of Song Mengxing's husband and daughter, and the other controlled the lifeline of the entire Song family. So he ruthlessly orchestrated a car accident and a kidnapping to eliminate both obstacles. But in this life, because Zhou Qinze had taken the initiative, the story had changed. 27-year-old Lin Majuan had lost his parents, spent 6 years in prison, and his life was in ruins. Having fallen to this state, with his personality, he would definitely seek revenge after his release. Now that Song Mengxing was dead, the next targets were him, Song Juan, and their children. And today happened to be December 7th. Everything coincided with his previous life. So, it was all a conspiracy. Having finally understood everything, Zhou Qinze quickly shook the person beside him awake, urging her to get up. Serves him right. Who told him to chase after Sister Mengxing all day long? That's what you get for being a desperate simp. After the couple found the police officer in charge of the car accident case, Zhou Qinze mentioned the necklace. The police quickly used this clue to track Lin Majuan's whereabouts. The couple stayed home with their 2 children all day and finally received a call from the police in the evening. "Mr. Zhou, based on the clues you provided, we successfully apprehended Lin Majuan and his accomplice outside the kindergarten. He has confessed to the crime." Hearing this result, the weight that had been pressing on Zhou Qinze's heart instantly dissipated. The 2 innocent daughters, seeing his relaxed expression, finally dared to run into his arms and act spoiled. "Daddy, I'm hungry. I want sweet and sour pork ribs. Don't make pork ribs for my sister. She lost a tooth yesterday and can't eat them. Let's have shrimp, okay?" All they think about is food, day in and day out. A hint of exasperation flashed in Zhou Qinze's eyes. He reached out and nudged Song Juan, tilting his chin towards the kitchen. "The kids are hungry. Shouldn't you be a little more proactive?" Song Juan consciously stood up, but before she could take a step, the 2 children held her back. "If Mommy cooks, let's eat out. We can ask Aunt Shen to cook too. I don't want Mommy's cooking. It's too salty, too salty." The family's laughter and chatter gradually faded into the distance, amidst the gradually lighting up homes. And tonight, the green mountains stood tall, and the floating clouds drifted far. It was the best time of the human world,